The question is this: are Israel and Hamas inching towards another brief military pause? Will there be another hostage deal for the release of Israeli hostages who are presently in the custody of Hamas? The leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is in Egypt today, and according to sources, he reportedly is holding talks on a potential agreement for the release of more Israeli prisoners. Reports now say that these talks could focus on a week-long truce deal in exchange for the release of about 40 Israeli hostages. Now remember, 130 to 140 Israeli hostages are still in the Gaza Strip. Predominantly, most of them are said to be now soldiers and men. And if there is a truce, then this could of course be extended if there's an agreement on the new conditions. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that his country is ready for another humanitarian pause. At the same time, Israel has condemned the latest act of Hamas, putting forth videos of 3 Israeli hostages who are demanding that their government should do more to get their release.
The video that Hamas released in the past hour is a criminal terror video. It testifies to Hamas's cruelty towards innocent, very elderly civilians who are in need of medical care.
But away from the diplomatic parleys, the fighting is unabated in the Gaza Strip. Israeli forces are engaged in a fierce gun battle with Hamas. There were smokes of plumes that were seen rising over Gaza's skyline on Wednesday, with Palestinians claiming that the death toll has now crossed the 20,000 mark. The Hamas claims at least about 20 people were killed in Israeli air bombings in 3 separate houses. An unspecified number of people were also injured when Israel decided to bomb this residential complex. The United Nations has said that 70% of everyone who's been killed in this campaign of relentless bombing by the Israelis happen to be women and innocent children who've got nothing to do with this war. United Nations agencies have reported that while hospitals in the north are not functional, those in the south are overwhelmed with patients. Another United Nations agency has said that 60% of Gaza's infrastructure has been completely damaged, and over 90% of all Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have been uprooted from their homes and have been displaced. Meanwhile, a United Nations Security Council vote on a resolution calling for a pause in the conflict has been delayed. Members have been struggling to find the right words and common ground to put an end to this campaign of bombing in the Gaza Strip. The latest version of the text calls for a suspension of hostilities after the United States, remember, was the only nation to have vetoed a ceasefire in Gaza that had been condemned by the Palestinian and, of course, many human rights groups around the world. And our correspondent from Israel, Jody Cohen, has sent us this report on how pressure is growing on the Netanyahu government to do more to secure the release of hostages. Listen to what she has to say.
Behind me you can see tents where some relatives of the 129 remaining hostages are camping outside Israel's defense ministry. Their aim is to keep the hostages top of the agenda, and in the latest, Israel's ambassador to the US, Mike Herzog, has said that Israel is willing to pause the fighting for a hostage release deal and that the ball is now in Hamas's court. Meanwhile, the UN security resolution on the war has been delayed yet again, as the US is seeking to amend the wording to reportedly call for a suspension of hostilities rather than a ceasefire and to explicitly condemn Hamas. According to a report, the US would like to see the high-intensity fighting end by the start of January, and Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant has said that as the military goals are achieved in each area, Israel would move on to the next phase. However, both Israel and the US are clear that the fighting ultimately, at whatever level, would end with the end of Hamas in Gaza. This is Jody Cohen for WION World as One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.